Good evening, and welcome to Momentum Chat. I'm your host, Majida Bay, your financial conductor, helping you get on the right financial track to success. And we are going to have a great show this evening. This is our first show of 2021. So we wanted to switch it up a little bit and start having a conversation about you and what it takes for you to become financially independent, for your family to be financially free. So stay tuned, share, like this, tag a friend, and make sure that they join in on the conversation. We'll be starting very shortly. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to Momentum Chat. I'm your host, Majida Bay, and join with me, as always, a friend, senior financial broker, Mr. John Epting, with 19 years of experience in the financial services industry, almost 30 years of experience in leadership development. And so glad to have you here tonight, John. Welcome to 2021. Happy New Year.
We made it. We made it.
Absolutely. So how was your New Year? How was your holiday? Everything?
It was great. I mean, I was looking forward to the new year, but I'm looking forward to every day. Every day, nothing magical happened on the 1st of January.
Right.
It's really, it starts up here. And I decided to go back through some books, some notes, things like that in the last day and ask myself some tough questions. You've heard me say many times the quality of your life is dictated by the quality of the questions you ask yourself and the quality of the questions you ask other people. But it's always best to ask yourself some very, very, very tough questions and you answer them, so I ask myself, do I really live in objective reality? And, just to restart the new year. But I'm excited. I'm excited any day I get because I don't deserve any of these. So I'm fired up, man.
Absolutely. Well, glad to have you as always. I put the topic tonight, minding your business in 2021. And so oftentimes, right, we're in everybody else's business. So we're listening to what other people have to say. And tonight I wanted to focus on our audience, focus on those that are listening in. Wow. And for those who will hear this later. And recently, right, there was another round of stimulus checks that went out. All right. And yeah, right. So stimulus checks went out. I had a conversation maybe last week, I think, concerning that, with another group that I have a podcast with. But I wanted to get your insight on what are ways that individuals, right, people that are listening in, they get the stimulus check, but how can they reposition themselves? In what ways can they stimulate their own economy in 2021?
Yeah, well, I think it starts with the way I just talked about that. And it's funny you brought up stimulus and minding your own business. That's pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, we could play off of that for months probably. Because one is minding your business. In other words, get out of other people's lanes. Stop worrying about what other people are doing. Focus on the gifts and the abilities God has blessed you with, but also the talents you've cultivated. But then also we could take that over to you really building a business and doing something that will stimulate your own economy. I grew up in the south side of Chicago, a little place called Dixmoor, Illinois, and Harvey, Illinois. And so it's the suburbs of Chicago, in Chicago first, and then to those little areas. And a lot of times where I come from, we say we're a product of our environment. Almost everybody says you're a product of your environment. But see, at some point in your maturity, your environment should become a product of you. Mm. So in creating a stimulus, right? Okay, yeah, they passed a $900 billion stimulus. We still don't know where all the heck that money's going because each American is only getting $600, right? So if you do some math, right? This is just math, people. Forget your political affiliation. This is just math. Where the heck is the rest of that money going? And then there's even some stipulations for businesses like myself to get more money, right? Mm-hmm. So forth and so on, which it should be. I'm not saying it shouldn't be, but which it should be. But it's a lot of stuff in that stimulus package that's just waste. And the funny thing is all of us are going to pay it. Here's the funny thing. The rich are going to pay the most in paying that back. I know there's a big myth out there that the middle class pay more in taxes. That's totally not true, because most middle class people don't pay taxes at all. They don't pay income tax, rather. So that's just math too, right? If you paid into the system $3,000 and you end up getting back $4 or $5 grand, $7,000 in a tax return, you didn't pay taxes, right? I know you didn't want to hear that, but it's just math, right? Which means you not only did you get all of yours back, you got some of mine, right? The check my wife and I had to write. But anyway, in building a stimulus, right? What can you do with that $600? Well, it's a lot of stuff you can do. One, you could build an emergency fund. You can make sure that you're solid in a sense that when the next thing happens, you got cash to take care of it instead of going into debt on it. You could pay off some of the smaller credit cards. This was money you wasn't expecting. At least you should have been expecting. Right? So put it somewhere. Do something with it. Maybe invest it. Now, of course, get some advice. You know, call myself, call Majida, right? Reach out to somebody who you trust, who actually knows what the heck they're talking about, though. Please don't. Why are you talking to your broke uncle? Right? And your girlfriend who borrowed money from you last year. They're not the person to ask this info from, right? So maybe invest. There's some stocks, there's some stuff happening, right? I heard Turo maybe going public, right? There's some stuff happening, but are you paying attention? Or are you making excuses, right? It's 2021. Yeah, I'm talking to you tough. It's 2021. We gotta go. Right? Yeah. You've been talking about getting to the end of 2020 all this time. Okay, now we're here. What you gonna do now?
What are you gonna do differently? Right.
That's why it's not there was no special thing that happened. Nothing happened in the universe on the 1st. You had to be putting this stuff in your mindset and kind of looking out. And you know what's funny? I'm finding, and we've said this numerous times on this particular talk, there's so many ways of people to make money and become financially independent. I just posted a video that I saw, and I posted it to my organization. I posted it to a bunch of places of a 16-year-old kid who called into some radio show who was making $50 grand a month at 16 years old and hiding it from his mother. Because wait, stay with me. Because her mindset was too small. She couldn't handle the fact that her son makes more in a month than she probably makes a year.
Wow.
Because she's too traditional. Right? In scripture, it talks about how the path to life, right? Whatever that is, however you want to play that, right? But the path to life, I can go into what it really means, but the path to life is narrow and very few find it. But the path to destruction and death is wide and everybody finds it. That should tell you that if most people are going this direction, you should automatically go look over here. If most people are going this direction, if all of your friends are talking the same way, you should be concerned.
Yeah.
But normally we're not concerned because it's comfortable. It feels good. You only listen to stations you agree with. Right? If you're a CNN person, you only listen because you agree with what CNN is saying. Right? And you'll never turn to Fox. If you're a Fox person, you'll never turn to CNN. Right? I believe all of them are fake. All of them, there is no news anymore. Everything's commentary now. They're telling you what to think. Right? I don't think any of them are good. Right? but if that's how you are, that's how you are, right? Which means you don't even really know if the information you have in your hand right now is real. You don't. You never challenge yourself. The person who loves what CNN says, they should only watch Fox. Seriously. Because then you'll end up kind of balanced.
Yeah.
Because this stuff that they reporting on Fox that CNN ain't touching and vice versa. Right? Don't listen to any of them, okay? Actually, can you just turn that off? Really? That's really what I want you to do. Like, totally turn it off, right? Matter of fact, come next Sunday, I'm even going to be taking a fast from social media, if you will, right? So for 30 days, even this little thing, I'm going to get on here, but I ain't going to be able to see the rebroadcast. I'm not going to be able to see anybody's comments. I'm not going to be, and I don't even care about it. Really, honestly, right? Really, I've noticed that I normally, my brain, unfortunately, I gravitate towards the negative comments, and then I get stuck in them. So this is my thing. If you said something great, we appreciate you. We love you. We're gonna keep doing what we do because we don't really concern ourselves. But if you said something negative, hey, I don't know you said it. So hopefully that makes you feel better about what you typed. Yeah, but you create your own stimulus. You create your own stimulus up here first, right? Actually, I had somebody just I mean, right before we got on here, who posted something to me in reference to that video I'm talking about the 16-year-old, and the comment was, money shouldn't be so foremost in your mind. And what that tells me is they don't understand what money is. Money's just a tool. Money's a byproduct of who you become. Yeah. But money will buy your freedom. When black people were slaves in the United States, you could buy your freedom. So obviously money was important.
If you wanted to be free, it was.
And it's important now. The only people who say money's not important is broke people. Broke people and people who never plan on becoming wealthy. I'm the only two people. There ain't no wealthy person talking about, oh, money's not that important. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I know you shared it before. You know, like there's so much you can do with money. Even if you are a generous person and want to give to charity, make a lot of money and give a lot away.
Oh yeah. You know, I'm glad you said that, because I've always heard people tell me money changes people. No, money changes people. Money changes people. No, it don't. It reveals them. If they were a sloppy, nasty, selfish person before they had money, they just gonna be more of that later when they got it. Magnified. If they were a generous, giving, loving person before they had money, they're just gonna be more of that once they have it. Especially if they know how to manage it properly. Especially if they understand it's theirs anyway. That's another topic, but especially if they understand that they don't own it, they're merely stewards of it. Oh, you think differently then. You move differently. You operate differently. Right? And that's why somebody would say that. Right? Now, unfortunately, that was a relative, so I'll address that later, though. Right? Because it's also people who say stuff like that who will never give you any. Just saying.
No, it makes a lot of sense. And so, in understanding that, you know, we're responsible for creating, stimulating our own economy, right? Like I see it as really a reflection of our personal philosophy, like the way we think will allow us to create our own economy. But for those who may not understand, right, creating their own economy, being a creator, right, and why is it important to have control over your income? Like, why is it important for yourself? You can, you know, speak personally. Why was it important for you to be able to control how much money you made and how much you got to keep?
Prior to what I'm doing right now, or the numerous things I'm doing right now, I was in the United States Navy. And before that, I bagged groceries and I delivered pizzas. And I mean, I was a bouncer. I did loss prevention. I had a detailing company. Something rang in my mind. So I've been married twice. I'm in my second marriage, my last marriage. And my military career had me away. Now, I appreciate all of our people who serve in the uniform. It's a great honor of what we did, especially if you've been down range and you understand that component of serving in the military. But one of the things I realized, and I want you to think about this. I had to go down range and do some things and be in somebody's deserts and jump out of some stuff during peacetime. I served from 91 to 2002. I did that stuff during peacetime. Most people don't even know that. One of the things I realized at the end of my first marriage is my oldest daughter didn't know me because of a lot of circumstances. But one of them was I didn't have my freedom. I didn't get to choose if I was at her birthday or not. I didn't get to choose if I was at her cheerleading, because she got into cheerleading and modeling and stuff like. I didn't get to choose that, right?
Yeah.
Matter of fact, my ex-wife was military as well, so there was a time when I was on sea duty, she was on shore duty, and then I took her sea duty so she could stay on shore with our daughter. So she didn't have to go to a ship. I end up taking her rotation, as we call it, right? And I realized my oldest daughter didn't know me. Then I never thought I would get married again after that. But then I found my wife, right? And well, yeah. Long story short, that was changed, right? And now we've been together 20 years. I knew I didn't want to go through that again. I loved my naval career, but I knew I didn't want to go through the agonizing of, will I be able to be at my children's this or that, or if they need me, or if I remember we lost unfortunately I've lost 2 children. So we lost one of them while I was on shore duty. I was here in Little Creek. It was the month after the September 11th attacks. My wife had a stillbirth of our son. So Josiah Carlos Epstein is in heaven. But I wasn't supposed to be here in the country. I was supposed to be somewhere on a mission at the time, and it happened. Somehow I got out of that. I didn't have to get on that helo, didn't have to go on that plane, right? And I always thought to myself, what if my 20-year-old wife would have had to deal with that by herself? That's when freedom became super important.
Yeah.
That's when controlling my income. Look, I'm okay with losing. I just want it to be my fault.
Yeah.
Right. So some people would take a job making $230,000, right? 340,000, 680,000. I got friends like that, right? And they're employees, but every couple of years they're unemployed because they're at a high level. And at those particular, most people don't know this, at those particular levels, they kind of go through CEOs, CFOs, COOs kind of frequently, right? Depending on the size of the company, right? And stuff like that. So some people would rather take that. I'd rather make 100 on my own, right? And I control it. That makes any sense, right?
Absolutely.
Because now my 15-year-old, she's never known me to be gone. She don't know. She probably want me to go. She probably like for me to go out to sea sometime. But
you took a trip. You took a trip to Nebraska.
I did, right? I took a 13-day road trip, right? That was cool. I didn't have to ask nobody to do that. I didn't have to ask anybody I didn't have to ask another human being walking the planet. Can I just get in my car at 2 a.m. on a Thursday and start driving and not have a timeline of when I was coming back? I ain't have to ask nobody that. That's why freedom is important. Now, that might not even be your thing, right? But hey, if your grandchildren need to go, or what if you had a relative who got sick? Here's another one. I had a 5-year-old daughter who got sick 9 years ago. 2012. So she spent 50 days in CHKD hospital before she passed away. My wife didn't have to ask nobody because she stayed at that hospital every day for 50 days. That's why you don't know when this time is coming either. I'm hoping the stuff I just talked about never happens to anybody who's hearing my voice. I'm hoping it never happens to you. I have a specific call, and based on your call, there's going to be trials you're going to have to go through in your life, right? Okay, yeah. I get it, right? So I see all this stuff that it didn't happen to me, it happened for me. The first marriage, right? I've lost a home, all these different things, right? Losing 2 children, all these different things, they didn't happen to me, they happened for me, right? Long as I learned the lessons in the process, right? But you don't know when those days are coming. Why not build your own stimulus? Why not build your own thing that you own, you can control, and therefore you got your freedom. So now, and here's another one. I didn't like the idea that another man get to tell my wife when to come and go. I ain't like that.
I hear that.
That didn't feel right in my spirit. So that's and I'm not a wealthy guy, but we just created a life that we can kind of maneuver and act and do things based on our calling and really our desires, the desires of our hearts. And God said he'll do that. He'll give you the desires of your heart. But first he has to make sure your heart is lined up with his. Before you can't just get the desires of your heart and your heart is wicked, evil. As the Bible said, deceitful.
And
I went on a tangent. Sorry.
No, not at all. No, I asked that question because for myself, I'm trying to think of the point it was for me where like I didn't like the idea of not being able to do what I wanted to do. And similarly, I don't like other people telling me what to do, right? I don't like micromanagement. Tell me what I need to do and leave me alone, right? Like that's my mindset. And so actually, matter of fact, this morning I had a little scare with my grandma. I went to go drop off my daughter. She, something that happened last night, she ended up falling and then she fell again this morning, right? Like in her kitchen.
Your grandma?
But she telling me to go. Yes. And just like that experience, like viscerally, it impacted me because I'm like, what if, right? She's fine now. She's back home and my grandma loved her independence. So she don't want to be bothered with, somebody having to take care of her. She said before we left the house to take her to the hospital, she's like, I told my daughter, if you ever got to where I couldn't take care of myself, just let me go. Don't put me home. She want her independence. But just the idea that if anything were to occur, could I be in a position to where I could take care of her, or I could be free enough to where if she needed somebody to be around, could I do that? And it was just, that inspiration that I need a better position myself. Hey, baby. So that I have the opportunity to do that because my family means everything to me, right? I came across this quote some years ago and it says that when you are clear about your values, it becomes easy to make decisions. And family is one of my values, right? The relationships that I have with the people that are closest to me, family and friends, are something that I value immensely. And so like I would do anything for them, right? Like I appreciate and value the work that I'm able to do, but it doesn't come before my family. And so even thinking about me raising my children, I want to be in a position to where when they need to do something, I can be there. Grandpa actually tonight took my oldest to basketball practice. They just started basketball practice today.
Wow.
So, he helping me out because he knows that I have this going on. But because I have that type of support from my family, like it's nothing to me to drop everything to, my brother got to go to the airport tomorrow. I'll be at work, but he got to get to the airport. So, right. It's those things. It's, knowing your value. And so being able to have control and put your values first, right? Instead of having to compromise and say, well, I used to hear people say, oh, I got to go to work. Like, no, you don't. Like, you have a choice, right? Like, you do have a choice.
I don't even like that idea. I don't even like that idea. Now, here I am. I'm an entrepreneur. So I don't have to go to work. To me, I get to go to work, especially for what I do. Right? It's a privilege. Yeah. Like, a guy like me shouldn't even get to do what I do. But I get to do it, right? Yeah. But let's say, for example, we're going to be somewhere this weekend. Family will come in. I know what they're going to do, right? So that Sunday, they're going to be like, oh, why don't you guys stay a few more days, right? I know what they're going to do. This is a routine, okay? Because I have the freedom, right? They expect me to just say yes. But they don't, what they forget is I still have standards that I impose on myself. God holds himself to his own laws. He don't break his own laws. He made them. He could perfectly break them. But then he wouldn't have the moral authority to hold us to him. right?
Makes sense.
So I have the freedom, right? But here's where the real freedom is when you can choose even over your own freedom. That's going to be deeper than most people can even handle. Some of y'all will get that on your way home. Some of y'all will get that 2 days from now. All right. There's a part in scripture. There's a part in scripture where Paul, right, great apostle of the New Testament, he said, "I became all things to all men, so that by all means some may be saved." What does that mean? He was so free that if he was in your midst, for example, I know you're a vegetarian, right? If he was in your midst, he was so free with himself that he could even stop eating meat while he was with you. He didn't condemn you because you didn't eat meat, or he adapted to you. He said he became all things to all men, so that by all means some may be saved. That's a level of freedom you want, right? And that's just fun, right? But to answer your question, why is it so important for you to control your income? So you can be free. Too many people died for me to be free. And too many people died and fought for my freedom for me to give it up to somebody, for me to hand it over. If you take my freedom, it's going to be a fight. You going to know you was in a fight. You probably ain't not going to survive the fight. Let's just be honest. You're not going to survive the fight. But that's why you should control your income. And there's many ways to do this. Please don't get caught up in like the young man's mom who's so traditional. You have to go to college. You have to get a job. You got to have security. I say that so loosely because it's not secure.
Yeah.
I don't. You know, prisons are called maximum security. I'm just saying.
Right.
But some of us and I believe our society has sold that to us. I literally believe that a bunch of people bought into it. That you got to do this, you got to do. So we got a lot of people in the streets crying about college tuition. It should be free education, free college. When nobody said you had to go. You bought into the fact that you had to go. That's the facts. And nothing is free. Freedom isn't free. There's always a cost to be paid.
Absolutely.
That's the fact.
So can you share with our audience, right? You chose to control your income so that you would have your freedom. So what are some of the benefits to being in your profession? Like what you do day in and day out? What are some of the benefits that you've experienced outside of just being free?
Okay, I like that. I earned a world-class financial education. We're always talking about education. See, formal education to make you a living, right? But hard work, right? If I went to university, I went to the U of A. I went to the University of Adversity. I have a doctorate. And I graduated summa cum laude, okay? Because I've been through some stuff, right? But what I love is one, I earned a world-class financial education to the point that now people call me for all kinds of things that's not even part of my field. And also I like learning. I hate school, but I love learning. I love gathering new things. That's one of the things I respect about my 15-year-old. She's on the president's list and all that type of stuff. Straight A student, but she don't like school. Straight up, she don't like school. She'll tell you straight up she hates it. It's an ends to a means to her. And she gets it done because those core values, right? Excellence, right? So she gets it done. But she loves learning. That's the funny thing. She don't like school, but I'm willing to bet you in her room right now, she's in there reading. I just know her. She's always ordering books from Amazon. Isn't that funny? Not many people order books from Amazon. That's how they started. Mm-hmm. She's ordering books and she likes vinyls, believe it or not, vinyl records. So she's always ordering that stuff from Amazon, right? The old school stuff too. She orders the old school stuff. She's a very eclectic young lady, right? Mm-hmm. But I love education. I love the fact that I earned a world-class financial education. That's one. Two, this is probably bigger than that first one. The impact I get to make on other people by educating them on what I've learned and being able to guide them, being able to walk with them hand in hand. I ain't going nowhere. It's just, it's like breathing. It's like to see the light bulb go off over their head. They've heard all of this stuff, this noise, right? Whether it's been on their job or from relatives or, you know, the past generation. My grandmama told me, right? But sometimes you can't listen to your grandma. This is a totally different era. That's what I loved about the young man that was on that video I posted, right? He was making 50 grand a month drop shipping. There's a bunch of people don't even know what the heck that is. So some people actually thought he was doing something illegal. But he was 16 years old, drop shipping. He got good at it. He's good at technology. He's good at that internet stuff. He understood how the system worked. Probably sat on a bunch of YouTube videos and Pinterest to teach himself, right? Started 8 months ago. Already got 300 grand saved, averaging 50 grand a month now. But we got 35, 44-year-olds, 52-year-olds, 63-year-olds listening to me right now. And they ain't trying to learn nothing. But they broke. I like teaching those people. I know it sounds weird, right? They're a headache too. Trust me, they're a headache. Especially when everybody's skeptical about everything. Right? I don't know why people think because they haven't heard of it, they should be skeptical. You don't look at your life, you don't know that much. So it's almost nothing you should be skeptical of. If it's new, just check it out, right? Pray to the Lord. At least I hope you're a praying person and you got a relationship with Christ, so you can hear the Holy Spirit speaking to you. But man, there's so much more you can learn. I get to help people in those senses. And then some people just don't have time. They make a lot of money. Some people don't have time to figure all that stuff out. So guess what? They come to me. I help them make the decisions, and I do it in a simple way. You know, you work with me for a long time, right? I can take the most complicated thing in this financial, thing we doing here and make it so simple that they're like, oh, okay. And I say A or B. Sometime I'll go A, B, or C. But normally I've asked enough questions. I've narrowed it down to probably the 2 to 3 best things for them based on all the questions I asked them and how they answered them. And also based on how I could hear what they're not saying through their emotions, make the decisions, boom, help them put some things in place, blah, blah, blah. That stuff's fun, right? And a person who don't know what I'm talking about, they probably think it's sales. I don't sell nothing. I help people make good decisions that's good for them. That they probably wouldn't have done on their own.
Agreed. I don't know. That's for me. Like I was thinking about it today. I can't like muster up the energy to convince somebody to do something that they don't want to do. Right? Yeah. Like it doesn't make sense to me. Right? Either you want to do it or you don't. Yeah. Your willingness, your desire has to be aligned with what it is I have to offer. Otherwise, I'm just talking to the wrong person. And so I know for myself, one of the benefits to being in our profession is that similarly, right, I get to serve other people. Yes, yeah.
That part's awesome.
Come on, TP. You can tell me. Tell me. What?
You know what? Something came to me. Right? You and I are both introverts. We're both introverts, and we don't like to be micromanaged. And because we don't like to be micromanaged, we don't like micromanaging. So therefore, that's why we have the attitude we have is either you want to do it or you don't. I ain't got time to be excited. Talk you into it. I've always said, hey, if I got to talk you into it, I'm gonna have to talk you through it. And I just don't care. I don't have the time. I'm still a husband. I'm still a father.
Right. And you can't care more than somebody cares themselves, right?
Right.
And so
well, actually in the beginning we kind of do, because they don't know what they don't know. If you think about it, when we first meet with a client, and especially if they're new to this whole world, they've never had a financial advisor, they never worked with one, right? We kind of do care more than they do at first. Then they get a little education in them, and then also they start getting hope. See, once that hope light comes on, I don't have to do that much no more, because now they believe it's actually even possible for them.
So true. So true. It's getting active over here. So, I was starting to share that, like, the benefits to me is that I get to pay it forward, right? Just the idea that, like, I get to do for other people what someone did for me. And just yesterday, I was kind of like writing out my personal story, on this journey, and the fact that somebody was willing to teach me what I didn't know, right? Something term you use all the time. Like, I had to have the discernment to realize that there was something I didn't know, but to also have the fortitude to, like, find the answer. I find a solution. I'm solution oriented by nature, and so I had to find a solution to the frustration and the stress and all of that I was feeling financially, and it led me down this path. And now, like you said, I have the privilege of being able to help lead other people, right, out of darkness into light, right? To be able to get them from where they are, from where they want to be. Even today, I got a text from a client, just asking some questions about his plan. And I'm like, yes, this is how it works. And I love being able to be a resource for people who want to move forward, right? Who want better for their lives. And being around those people, like, it energizes you to know that there are other people who want to improve, who have enough and humility, if you will, to say, hey, I need some help in this area. Can you help me? And the privilege that I get to be able to pay it forward. And actually, as I was writing my story, I mentioned that, the fact that somebody was willing to teach me, right? Like, that was key, right? I knew I needed to do something different, and being able to find a mentor, find somebody who was willing to invest the time to teach me. I say sometimes that, when I'm giving, presentations or having conversations, that when I first met you, it was like, I was broke. I was spending everything that I was making. You advised me to sell my car, and I wasn't willing to do that, but I was willing to do something different, right? So, cut the cable, cut some expenses I didn't have to have, just so I could free up the money to start saving. And then, even before I actually was able to start putting money away, you were willing to take a trip from Virginia Beach to Richmond just to share information with my family. And the idea that somebody was willing to invest time with me, because before I even met you, I had met with a couple other different financial advisors or professionals, if you will. And there wasn't a sense of, or it didn't seem like there was a willingness for them to actually invest the time, right? They saw that I was broke, and they were willing to leave me there because they figured, I can't make any money off of you. You don't make enough money, and here's a list of fees. When you can afford me, call back. So that didn't really sit well with me, because I'm just like, if I had the money, I wouldn't be coming to you, right? If I knew what to do with, right, I need some help in that area. So to find somebody who was willing to teach me was definitely really important, and that's what I love also about what it is that we do. And so for people who are considering going into business for themselves, whether it's our business or something else, or this industry, what are some things that a person should consider in determining their business, right? Or what they should go into? I know you talk a lot about your calling and your purpose, right? I don't believe everything is for everybody. So this may not be for everybody, but I love what you said. Getting that world-class financial education is a benefit that all of us would agree we can't even,
no.
There's no, like, a dollar amount.
Yeah. If they were going to go into business at all, first of all, you got to find a product and service that people want and need before they even know they want and need it, and provide it in an efficient manner. I'm shocked how many people just make money just doing videos and inspirational messages on Instagram, stuff like that, right? And if you're good at that, dive in, right? But invest some time, invest some probably some money to learn. Find some people who you can respect and admire doing that same thing, and learn from them. In my business, I always tell all of my new people, anybody who's come across us, worst case scenario, I didn't think I was going to be good at this. I didn't think this would be a career for me. Definitely didn't know. I didn't even understand what callings were at that time. So I definitely didn't think this would be my calling. That didn't even register. But worst case scenario, I earned a world-class financial education. Worst case scenario, right? And constantly learning, because things are changing, right? When it comes to cryptocurrency, and it's just so much that we're constantly learning, which is, I think that's my high in doing this too, is you're constantly learning, right? And even if you're not learning for yourself, you're learning for your clients, right? Because people are calling me all the time or hitting me up on Instagram or Facebook asking me questions, which is fun. And I appreciate every one of them that does that, because it makes me, if I don't know it, it makes me go learn it. But you gotta, for us, you'll earn a world-class financial education. Let's say you came and worked with me, right? We recruited you in the industry, and now you get to come and work with us, get licensed, go through our training, blah, 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 right? Worst case scenario, you earn a world-class financial education. Secondly, you can make some ignorant money. The financial industry is one of the highest paid industries in the world. Nobody makes more money than people in the financial industry. It's just the facts. It's not being, arrogant or anything. It's the largest industry in the world too, right? It's over $100 trillion industry, right? No other industry can even say that, right? So those are a couple of things, and then you can own it. You can control it. That's what I like. Second, here's the big one, right? Oh, and it doesn't have to be your calling. It doesn't have to be. I want you to think about it. If you're listening to me right now, is what you're doing right now your calling? If you work at the concrete company, or you work at, right, the high school, or you work at the whatever you do, right? When you were born, nobody smacked your butt and said teacher. Nobody smacked your butt and said math guy. Nobody did that, right? You chose a path. And here's the thing I used to teach my wife all the time. You don't know what you'll be passionate about until you try it. If you had approached me 21 years ago and said, oh man, you'll be passionate about teaching people about money, there's no way in the world I probably hit, back then I wasn't saved, so I probably would hit you for saying something stupid to me, right? You never know, right? And here's another thing. Most people have never been presented an opportunity worthy of their best. So they don't even know what their best looks like. They've never performed at their best because they've never been presented an opportunity worthy of it. And sometimes we prejudge people based on those types of things too. Right? Last thing, you got to know what you want. If you don't know what you want, no business that you get into, no business you start is going to provide it. And I pray it's not money. That's why I talk so much about freedom. It's not about money, right? It's about what money will do, what type of lifestyle it may provide, what schools your kids will get to go to, how you get to take care of your parents, whatever it is that's important to you, the ministry you want to support, or the nonprofit, or whatever cause, those types of, whatever those things are. I'm talking about the deep-rooted dreams you got, right? But if you're unclear, it's not going to work. Because as soon as a tough time comes, you're going to back out. But see, once you figure out once you figure out why you want it and what you're willing to do and sacrifice to get it, now you might be on the right path. And now you can find the business that fits you or whatever. And I promise you, the guy that owns the 7-Elevens and the Subways here in my area, he didn't grow up dreaming to make sandwiches. No, he wanted an ATM machine that was for his family.
At the same time.
Likewise. Amen to that, right? I just want money, making enough money to, do whatever I want to do, fund whatever I want to fund, go wherever I want to go, have the freedom to choose where I want to be. And, so yeah, absolutely. I know for myself, and considering business, it's something that our mentor says all the time. He says, he had asked himself, one, was there money to be made, right? Like,
is there a need for it?
Right. Is there a need? And can I do it? Right. Like, you have to assess, right? What's something that you can do? And any idea of whether there's money to be made, right? People go into business to be profitable, right? And too often, we talk about this in my women's entrepreneurship or networking group, that too often people go into businesses and they run them as hobbies, right? You doing what you like to do, but you haven't invested in educating yourself to be a business owner, to be able to be profitable, right? You might be making some extra money, but you're spending just as much, if not more, to invest in the business. So being able to grow your business is important too, right? Not just to be in the business, right? And I've been able to see that definitely over the last year, how like it's easier to generate income in business than it is at the job, right? Job is a salary, same check every week. So it's fun to be able to like, all right, how much income can I create this week? But I can control that, and my effort compound. My effort isn't, no matter how much hard I work on my job, it's the same income at the end of the week. But I'm in business, I can decide, okay, how much money do I want to make this week? And what do I need to do to generate and create that income? So that's exciting. You always align with being able to grow and learn, right? I get to challenge myself, right? To grow and get better and be more profitable in business. And so that definitely should be a focus if you're considering business, if you're looking to go into business, be profitable, like not just make money, but be profitable. Meaning that you're earning more than you're spending, right?
There's a big difference. Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
So
I actually knew people like that in business, and it was kind of funny that they didn't like when I actually finally came to them and was like, this is a hobby, right? Because if you're making this and then you go spend more than that, is that back in the business? Don't get me wrong, you should reinvest back into your business, right? But when do profits come in? So that's a big deal. I'm glad you said it. Yeah.
So last question as we wrap up, and this maybe should have been the first question, but who do you have to become to be an entrepreneur, to go into business for yourself? And you can share personally, like, who did you have to become in order to travel this path, right? Because you say all of the time, right, that most people were raised by employees, taught by employees to be employees. And so to think outside of that realm requires different programming, right? It requires unlearning some things in order to grow into an entrepreneur or to a business owner. So who did you have to become in order to do that?
I had to become the person that all of it was my fault. And even when it's not my fault, it's my responsibility. I had to take all the responsibility, all of it. I was chatting with a young man who I love a great deal. I actually call him my son. He calls me Pops. And one of the things he was telling me was, it was some post that he posted or I posted or whatever. And he was talking about, no, not everybody can make it because some people don't get opportunity and some people just don't have the right opportunities. And I was like, hey, people go make your opportunity. You make your opportunity. Stop standing around waiting for somebody else to make your. I believe, this is my belief. Some of y'all not gonna like this. I believe employees are takers. All they do is take. Take. All you did was take an opportunity. Entrepreneurs are creators. They're givers. The reason you have a job is because somebody became an entrepreneur, grew a company, and at some point they didn't want to do what they now pay you to do. All you did was take, and they created. They gave. They created. They stimulated the economy. Right? That's who I had to become. Right? And I grew up in an environment that didn't tell me that I was supposed to do that. I grew up in an environment raised by people who, don't get me wrong, my mom and dad had some entrepreneurial itches, right? But the facts are is I had to become that it's my responsibility, whether somebody gave me an opportunity or not. Stop asking somebody else to give you an opportunity and create them. Because see, if you create a product or service that people want and need, and you provide it in an efficient manner, somebody's going to buy it. You created that. Nobody needs to give you an opportunity. Now, it depends on what we're talking about, right? You want to go the path where you need a job, okay, you need somebody to give you an opportunity. But when you go create one, that's what I had to become. I had to understand that it was all my fault. Win or lose, my fault. Couldn't blame it on nobody else. And some people don't like that. Some people don't like that. People don't like to take responsibility. And I believe if you don't take responsibility, you're now a slave to whoever you've given that responsibility to. That's what I had to become. Also, I had to change my mindset from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. I had to stop being a taker and be a giver. I had to invest. You just said it. Before you had any money, you went to other financial advisors. They sat down with you. They saw you didn't have much. They dropped you. Okay. I decided, because I didn't get into the business to make money, I decided I'm going to serve people and the Lord will take care of the rest for me. So I got in a car, right? I don't remember how old you were at that time, but I got in a car and went all the way to Richmond, Virginia, 2 hours from me. 2 hours?
Yeah.
2 hours from me, knowing I would make no money. Knowing I would make no money to invest into you. Because I knew once you had, by showing you that type of loyalty up front, right? Not making no money, right? I earned your loyalty.
Guys, I didn't think we could pull it off.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
I want to talk to the doctor. I want to talk to the young doctor while he's still in school and he ain't making no money. So that way I earn his trust, his loyalty, right? So once he start making 400,000, 500,000, 600,000 a year, guess who he's coming back to? I'm just willing to invest that time up front.
Yeah, and it's something that you had taught me too, that as an entrepreneur, you got to invest up front in full without the expectation of a return, right? Like you don't know whether you're gonna make it or not, but you got to be willing to take the risk.
Well, we expect a return, but as an entrepreneur, we invest time, energy, resources, finances up front on the hopes of a return. On the hopes of a return. Time, energy, resources up front. I still do it. I still do it.
I like the definition of an entrepreneur is someone who solves problems for a profit, right? And essentially, right, if you think about if there's areas in your life that, and I don't even think that like financial services, I didn't choose financial services, like it chose me.
It chose me.
Like that was, it was the path that I was on led me in this direction. And like you said, I didn't know that I'd be passionate about this because I didn't really like talking to people, right? Being an introvert by nature. And so coming this path and being empowered, right? Like it empowered me to be able to make some different decisions, to get on a different track. And so, we shared last week some of our goals for this year. And like now, since last week, since I declared it, like everybody is listening to this now knows, right? That I got this goal to save not 100 grand in 2 years, but now 1 year. It's getting those creative juices. Like, how can I, right? Like, what are some things but you got to be a creator, right? You got to figure some things out. You got to solve that problem. Like, how can I find the solution to this thing that I've challenged myself to? So it's really exciting to be able to be in that mindset where you're constantly creating. You're not just accepting things as they're presented, right? You're not just accepting a stimulus check. You're stimulating your own economy. You're creating the opportunity for yourself. And something that our mentor says all the time is, right, your income will only grow to the extent that you do. Right? And so if my income's growing, like naturally I'm growing, right? So if you focus on growing yourself, the income will take care of itself, right? Just because you're adding more value, you're providing a benefit, you're adding value to the marketplace, if you will. You're adding value to people, you're serving people. I can't remember which book it was from. It says, but if you earn in direct proportion to the service you provide. And so when we talk about providing service in an efficient manner, right? The better you are at doing that, the more you're going to earn. So it's exciting when you understand those principles, kind of back to the point of when you're clear about your values, right? You've shared on here your core values, and that being loyalty, right? So you put that at the forefront, right? It's not about what you get from people, but what you can give. And those things have allowed us to be able to have a certain freedom and a certain opportunity for ourselves, because we understand those intangible things. So the business, that's the fun part, right? Like actually doing the stuff, right? Helping people and with strategies and plans, stuff like that. But it's even more exciting to who you become in the process, right? Like the 100 grand is not about 100 grand, but it's like, who do I have to become to make that happen in a year, right? And because somebody showed me how I can invest and save and the importance and value of that, if I can share that, or if through this journey, right, the end of this year, we got 100 grand, because I did it, I know it's possible. So then that means it's possible for someone else, right? So then I can show somebody else how to save 100 grand in a year, right? Like, it's just like, by growing yourself, by creating those challenges, those opportunities, you give other people permission, right? You give them hope that they can too do that, and that's inspiring as well, right? Like I didn't necessarily consider myself like an inspiration, right, or a motivational person, but you can inspire people through the work that you do. And so for those that are listening, I hope that you have in your mind or you think about, as we enter 2021, how can you inspire or be an inspiration to other people? And one way, as John mentioned, it's through entrepreneurship. It's by creating. It's by giving. And it's something that one of my the founder of the women's networking group that I'm a part of. It's called Woman-Owned Minority Businesses. Mm-hmm. And the founder of that organization, she talks about it all the time. Like the problems that we have within our communities, within our cities and country, we can solve by creating more jobs, right? Right, like 35 million people or 50 million people were unemployed. Well, if we created more opportunities for people, we can solve that problem. We don't have to wait for the government or expect a stimulus check to take care of us. And yes, we all pay taxes. Yes, we all can benefit from, roads and police officers and all this kind of stuff, right? We do want those benefits. But at the same time, if we position ourselves to be able to take care of our own communities, our own families, we free ourselves, right? It's a certain freedom when you can take control and have that for yourself and your family. So
it's liberating.
Absolutely. So for those that are listening in, hey, we're going to be having a great conversation this month. Or you talking about business, right? We're going to switch the conversation up. We gave y'all a few months about finances and getting your mindset right when it comes to money. But we need to shift your mindset kind of back to the theme from last month, from turning paychecks, right? And it's not about the physical paycheck, but the mindset that comes along with just accepting a check, into profits, where you become the creator and you control your destiny. I love how you said that. Like, take responsibility, take ownership of your future and your family, right? It's not your job's responsibility. It's not your boss's responsibility to take care of your family. Like, that's on you. And it's unfortunate that we've been conditioned with this entitlement attitude to some degree, that I need benefits, right? That somebody else got to provide. Like, create your own benefits. So we want you to stay connected with us, stay engaged in our conversation, and let us know, right? We have an assessment that you can take, our momentum-mentors.com. You can go to that website, take our assessment, and find out where you are. You got to figure out where you were started from in order to know where you're going. You say all the time, know what you want, know why you want it, and what you're willing to do to get there. Well, in order to get to where you're going, you got to know where you're starting from. And that clarity of where you are, and I like how you said earlier, the objective reality. Like, just be honest with yourself, right? For once, you don't have to impress nobody. It's not about you, being perceived or keeping up with the Joneses, or being perceived as being somewhere where you're not, right? Be honest with yourself, be realistic with yourself about where you are. And then you can, once you figure that out, once you're honest with yourself about that, then you can figure out, what do I need to do to change that? What do I need to do to get better? And so take that assessment, let us know and how we can help you, right? At the end of that assessment, we ask, hey, if you want to meet with us and figure out a strategy or a plan, all your information is confidential. That won't be shared with anybody else outside of our team. And so we would love to definitely engage more with you, so you can check it out there. And there will be some information going out through the course of this month. And actually, on the 17th. We have an event planned on the 17th where John's going to be doing a deep dive into some information, giving some more insight about some topics. So definitely stay tuned for that. We want you to be a part of the conversation, and we want you to walk on with us in this journey, right? Like, it's not just about us being successful and, you know, us reaching our goals. We want you to reach it with us, and we wouldn't be here sharing and having these conversations if we didn't want more people to be impacted by, you know, what we've been privileged in many ways to have access to. So definitely stay engaged with us. Tune in with us next week. We'll be definitely having another conversation, and we'll share the information about that upcoming event on the 17th. And we may do a replay again, but plan for the 17th. So, John, as we wrap up, any last words you want to share?
No, I think this is going to be an incredible year. As the new year came in, you know, everywhere you go, everybody's Happy New Year, Happy New Year. And everyone's like, man, we just hope it's a better year than last year, right? And I really believe that's a mindset, right? It's up to you. It's going to be whatever you create it to be, right? It's not about COVID. It's not about whatever is happening within the elections processes or any of that stuff. It's really about how you. So constantly ask yourself, how do you see it?
I like that. Well, we hope you're going to create with us this year. Definitely stay tuned. We appreciate you all tuning in. And if you've gotten some value out of our conversation tonight, share it with a friend. You know, have a conversation. Tag some other folks who could benefit from this honest conversation, right? One of the things I loved about John when I first met him was he didn't really sugarcoat anything. You're right. He was straight talk, no chaser, as they say. And that was what I needed at that time in my life. You know, somebody who was willing to be completely honest with me, you know, not sell me the illusion that I was doing better than I was. Because you think because you bought a house and you got a car and you got a degree, you doing all right for yourself. And to everybody else around you, you are. But like, I knew the reality, how I felt, the frustration, the, you know, robbing Peter to pay Paul, living paycheck to paycheck like that. I didn't foresee that being my future, that my indefinite future, right? I knew I wanted something better for myself. And we know that there are others out there who want better for themselves. And you need a mentor, you need a coach, you know, somebody like John to help you move in a better direction like he did for me. And so I so appreciate you. I value your leadership, your insight, and definitely your values, right? Like, that's just something that it's hard to find sometimes, people with core values or with who believe in something, you know, bigger than themselves. And so I appreciate you, you know, doing these things, you know, doing these chats with us every week. I know it's pulling us both outside of our comfort zone, but we know that it's going to be impactful for a lot of people, even if not right now. Who knows? You know, years to come, they'll be able to see these and get some value out of it, and you know, see these girls grow up.
if we can help one, somebody always say, "Well, are you making a difference?" I make a difference for one. So if every one of these talks we can make a difference for one, they were worth my hour.
Absolutely. Yeah. I just saw a message from a guy I used to work with. I just want to say thank you to you both for your choice of choosing to help the next one on success. That's cool, right? That's what it's all about, right? That's what makes it all worthwhile. So thank you, Ryan. Shout out to you.
Totally worth it. Yeah. Love that.
Good deal. Well, we'll see you guys next week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Tune in, but definitely take the time, take our assessment so that we can engage with you and figure out how to help you move forward. With that being said, y'all have a great week, and let's start the year off with a bang, right?